Welcome to the REALL Academy, brought to you each Saturday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time by the Leadership Doctors, Dr. Sheka Houston and Dr. Tammy Taylor, best-selling authors, consultants, and speakers of Create and Educate LLC. Create and Educate LLC is an educational consultant and literary firm that provides professional development to schools and community. Their goal is to transform organizations with the REALL Resilient framework used to increase their school report card grades 2 and 3 grade levels in 1 year. REALL stands for Respect, Excellence, Accountability, Literacy, and Leadership. This framework is used to coach leaders and teachers and build student efficacy while putting systems in place that aligns the work of the school improvement, making the process manageable. When the work is manageable, teachers and leaders don't stress out or burn out. The Leadership Doctors alignment systems are designed to help schools evolve and grow, all while instituting protocols and processes designed to promote collaboration and collegiality. Alignment systems are frequently referred to as a key element of success in the improvement process. In the sport of rowing, all rowers must put their oars in the water, succinctly creating a system for their boat to reach maximum speed. So schools that want to improve are bringing in the Leadership Doctors to teach them all about the alignment systems that must be in place for school improvement to be accomplished at high levels. The dynamic duo provides insights into educational topics through their international platform, which includes educators, parents, and community members as a way to support important entities that make communities thrive. This is their way to pay it forward and provide the support they needed through their platform. They get into the weeds of work with leaders through their TrustMate Institute that you should contact them about today by filling out the contact form on their website. Welcome to the REALL Academy, brought to you each Saturday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time by the Leadership Doctors, Dr. Sheka Houston and Dr. Tammy Taylor, best-selling authors, consultants, and speakers of Create and Educate LLC. Create and Educate LLC is an educational consultant and literary firm that provides professional development to schools and community. Their goal is to transform organizations with the REALL Resilient framework used to increase their school report card grades 2 and 3 grade levels in 1 year. REALL stands for Respect, Excellence, Accountability, Literacy, and Leadership. This framework is used to coach leaders and teachers and build student efficacy while putting systems in place that aligns the work of the school improvement, making the process manageable. When the work is manageable, teachers and leaders don't stress out or burn out. The Leadership Doctors alignment systems are designed to help schools evolve and grow, all while instituting protocols and processes designed to promote collaboration and collegiality. Alignment systems are frequently referred to as a key element of success in the improvement process. In the sport of rowing, all rowers must put their oars in the water, succinctly creating a system for their boat to reach maximum speed. So schools that want to improve are bringing in the Leadership Doctors to teach them all about the alignment systems that must be in place for school improvement to be accomplished at high levels. The dynamic duo provides insights into educational topics through their international platform, which includes educators, parents, and community members as a way to support important entities that make communities thrive. This is their way to pay it forward and provide the support they needed through their platform. They get into the weeds of work with leaders through their TrustMate Institute that you should contact them about today by filling out the contact form on their website.
Happy Saturday, everyone. Welcome to episode 129 of the REALL Academy, brought to you by Create and Educate, home of the Resilience Framework. I am Dr. Sheka Houston.
And I am Dr. Tammy Taylor. Good morning, everyone. I hope you're staying warm.
Most definitely. Good morning, Tammy.
Good morning, Sheka.
And I'm going to say good morning to everyone joining us. Good morning, Mr. Rashard Davis out of Las Vegas. Thank you for joining us. And good morning to Miss Truesdale. Thank you for joining us. And she's on Twitter. Good morning to Kenya Williams. Thank you for joining us. Principal Rashad Laws. Bell Purposeful. Good morning. Good morning, Miss Dot McKeever Jeter. Good morning, September Vance Daniels. Good morning, Stacy Joy. And good morning, Melissa Jones Chunu. Hope you're doing well and recovering. Good morning, Jazz, out there on the West Coast. Good morning, Dr. Stacy Ann. Thank you for joining us. Good morning to Principal Hurt, who was on fire this morning. Good morning, Deanna Klingman. Thank you for joining us. Gerard Phillips and Edwin Garcia. Good morning to everyone. And also, Principal Kafele, the GOAT, is with us. Good morning. Good morning, Michelle Perkins Griffin. Thank you for joining us. So, thank you all for joining us and saying good morning. And we always start off with you all letting us know how you kept it real this week. And our acronym REAL that she told you about in the promo stands for respect, excellence, accountability, literacy, and leadership. This is the framework that Tammy and I use to help improve our schools, and that we are currently helping other schools to improve their practices as well.
Absolutely. And if you're wondering about our backgrounds, Shika and I both have been in education for a while, and we have about 48 years of experience between the two of us, which includes building level as well as district level leadership experience. We've received the STEAM School of Excellence Award and the Palmetto Silver Award for growth. We both exited school improvement. Most recently, we were the 2023 Local Entrepreneur Accelerator Program winners that was sponsored by Wells Fargo and Truist Bank.
And we are so excited about that opportunity. In addition to helping schools improve their achievement, we're also helping them institute MTSS trainings on literacy, writing, and small group instruction, just to name a few. So if there are some professional development needs that you have for your staff or for someone that you know, please get in touch with us through our website. You can fill out the contact form there, and we will definitely be back in touch with you. So that brings us to our topic for today: strategies to get those budget requests fulfilled. And this is something that Tammy and I are very familiar with as principals. We always have had to go into budget meetings with senior staff members, the people who are responsible for allocating funds in your district. And as the principal of the school, it's your responsibility to advocate for the financial needs of your school. That's one of the things that leaders are responsible for. So one of the things that we would hope as a leader that you would definitely have started off with is to assess whether or not what you used your funds for in the previous year yielded your desired results. And I think that my background is business. I came into education through alternative certification. So in business, determining whether or not something is profitable or it met the bottom line or something, that's something we regularly did in business. In education, sometimes I think that that practice is one that may not be, done a lot because the goal, because it's nonprofit, is different. So sometimes the thinking is of novice principals. Well, I've spent all my money, I've done what I was supposed to do, and now we're going over to the next year's budget and we're moving on. But effective leadership means that you look at your practices, you're reflecting, you're holding up that mirror that Principal Kafele teaches us to hold up, and you determine, well, did I get the biggest bang for my buck? Do I have too many software programs? Are the software programs that I'm using interesting to the children? Is it capturing their attention? So you have to determine based on multiple factors, getting data from the teachers, the students. Did this yield the result that I needed? Looking at academics, there's so many things. Go ahead, Tammy. I know you're ready.
No, I was just thinking one of the things that we have to like encourage you this morning to make sure that you aren't afraid to try something different, because I was when you were talking about the way when in business we don't mind cutting something if it isn't working and it's not yielding any profit, it is defeating us at the bottom line. We get rid of it. Like it's nope, not doing that anymore. Or even people like you are not productive and you're not providing us with anything other than being a liability, you got to go. But for us in
Tammy said you got to go.
education, sometimes I think we just are afraid to step outside that box that some of us get boxed into and try something new or different, because we're afraid to say that what we did didn't work, because
Mm-hmm.
you're afraid of the judgment that comes with that. But when you really are someone who has children at the heart of the decisions that you make, that's why you have to go back to that assessment that Sheka was talking about, those evaluations of programs of people, so that you can say, like, is this helping my children? Because if it isn't, then there are decisions that have to be made, and that might mean you are going to have to do something new or try something different than the way that things have always been. And I think, and you can disagree, Sheka, but I see administrators get stuck in that muck of, well, this is what we've always done and this is how we do it here. But
Mm-hmm.
if what we've always done hasn't worked, I don't hold out hope that it's just miraculously going to start working. So if it's not working, we need to try something that will work now. And that means that we have to stay on our toes so that we
Mm-hmm.
know what's out there and what's available and what is best for children developmentally.
Exactly. And I left this comment up here from Stacy. More often than not, when we ask the children, we will learn new ways to do things that interest and engage them. And a lot of times that's a misstep of educators. We're not even looking at something from the perspective of the child, because that's what I would look at as an
Definitely.
administrator. A lot of times we are just listening to adults, the teachers. What's good for the teachers? Now, teachers are not to be left out of the equation. We have to serve our teachers as well. But if in serving our teachers, we're doing a disservice to students, then we have not done our jobs. So we have to make sure that, even if this is easier for adults, if this is great for adults, but if it's hurting kids, guess what we can do? We cannot use it. We've got to find something else. And a lot of times these software programs that people are so in tune with, children get fatigued on them. And I think resources are great, but you have to be cognizant of how your children are responding to the resources. So just keep that in mind to make sure that you're collecting data from the students, and that if you are investing in resources like software, that multiple versions can help with making sure that children are not becoming bored or getting fatigued just using
Right.
one. And maybe your practice could be to switch up and use something else so every so often, or maybe allow the students to just have choice and voice in what they would like to use if it's something that's going to yield the same result for you.
And don't you think it's interesting? Like, I know one of the things that has happened since we've had so much money come in for technology from the federal government, the more access kids have to computers, um, sometimes when we ask them about it, they rather do things that don't even involve the computer because they have fatigue from being on it all the time. So
Hmm.
hearing from them, I think, is an essential part of the planning process and investing in the things that matter to them as well.
Awesome. And Josh says it's not about the programs, it's about people. Exactly. We have
Definitely.
to hear the voices of our children. And you're right, Tammy. A young man that I was going to visit a school said, "Ma'am, if I didn't have this computer, I would be a lot happier," because a lot of times what the computer has become is a shuffling machine for more work, just busy work. We're just going to shuffle all of the work through the computer on these management systems that everybody is required to have now since COVID. And we do need them, but we don't
True.
need to use them every day. I mean, once you have gotten the children into procedures and routines about teaching them where things are in your learning platform, that does not mean everything needs to be in there. So again, that those types of decisions are things that's good for adults.
Yes.
The next thing that you're going to want to make sure when we're talking about making sure that you're getting your or enhancing the chances that your budget requests are going to be fulfilled, what you want to have is data to support what you're saying that you need. So the more data that you have, the better. Sometimes, as principals, you have to remember your audience, and depending on the culture of your district, you should know the voices in your district that hold carry the heaviest weight. Sometimes it's not your voice. Sometimes the voice of the parents is a heavier weighted voice than yours. So the more data that you have to prove, what you're saying that is needed for your school, the better off you will be in getting your requests fulfilled. And so if you know that your parents carry that weight, make sure that these things that are needed are listed on your school improvement council agendas, that you've sent out surveys to parents, that you have gotten them to weigh in. And not even just surveys, in this day and age, get people to send you a video testimonial of why they're saying that this is something that they would like their children to have at your school, and show those things, include those in your budget presentations, because voices and faces a lot of times carry more weight when you're actually seeing and hearing from someone express that they would like to see something at your school. And also, somebody put up there about student focus groups. I think that is great, and I think you do that as well, don't you, Tammy?
We do. We talk to students. We have focus groups for students, parents, and all staff members. Every staff in the building have the opportunity to put their budget requests in and give feedback on what they think is needed at the school. One of the things that I think is important for us too to remember when we're creating needs assessments and surveys, um, the surveys that you give to the teachers certainly can be have your education jargon on it, and acronyms and all those things that they know what you're talking about, and if PLCs are important or if they're needed and how you're using them. But when you create your surveys for your families, please make sure that you're creating a survey that makes sense to them if you really genuinely are wanting to get their honest feedback. Because when you do a needs assessment and you send home a needs assessment and you ask parents about how they think the POC process works in the school, they don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And there is no need, honestly, for that question to be on their needs assessment. So even though it may be a little work, you might need to separate the needs assessments that you send to families, because what you want to hear is from their perspective what they think we need to make the school better. So that's one thing that I think we can just take into consideration when we're planning and
Mm-hmm.
creating our needs assessments or our needs surveys, however you get feedback from your parents. Another thing that is, and we touched on this, but just that feedback that you get from your teachers, parents, and students, make sure that there is some reciprocity in that conversation. So they gave you these suggestions, and these are the suggestions that they would like to see things happen. But that doesn't always make the final budget request that you submit. And you have to be able to dialogue with them to explain, well, even though this was something that came up on the parent survey or the parent and the staff survey, here's why this was one of the things that did not make the list. The capital improvements project had already planned to replace all the windows in the gym. So we don't have to put that on the budget request, because in all honesty, the more you can funnel to other things, the less you have to ask for, the more likely you are to get the things that you ask for. So you have to be strategic in your thinking and the way that you plan when you are preparing for these budget meetings. Ours are coming up in
Mm-hmm.
just a few weeks. And so we're having these conversations now.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we thought this would be, pretty pertinent for you as you are preparing to have those conversations with your stakeholders.
And
Then
this
finally, the thing that I'm sorry, go ahead, Sheik.
I was saying this comment that Jasmine put up, the conversation is important, not just the surveys. And that is absolutely correct. Those
Yes,
conversations are very important, because what you find is that most people don't really understand school finance. They don't understand that there's different budgets or different pockets of money or different buckets of money, and that only certain things can be purchased out of
right.
different funding areas. So you have
Mhm.
to make sure that you're explaining that. And there was one other comment by Michelle that is very real, that when you're the principal and you are the advocate for the school, that sometimes you do have to let people know from the district level that this blanket service that you're providing for the whole district, just because you get a cheaper rate for certain things, does not necessarily work for my school. And sometimes you do have to have those very real conversations. Make sure that they're copacetic, but because you know how people are. But sometimes, and this happened in my experience, sometimes speaking up for your school and advocating makes you unpopular with people. People don't like when people are causing problems or going against the grain, or she always wants something different. Well, my school was different, and you've
Right.
placed me there to advocate for my students and the needs of my school.
So
So,
trust me to do it. And I'm gonna
exactly.
say this too, Michelle. I think the point was well made, because that having your stuff together though really gives you a position to stand
Mhm.
firm and really advocate for what is needed in your context. And if you have the types supervisor that I have, he will give you the autonomy to do what you need to do to
Exactly.
make your school successful. That's what he's expecting, success from
Hmm.
your school. So just go with your facts for why this doesn't fit for us.
Exactly. And what was your last point, Tammy?
Last thing I was just going to say is please prioritize, because if you prioritize, and this is something you explain to your stakeholders, as Jasmine said, conversations are important. We can't get everything that we're asking for. We're
Right.
not going to get it all. So
Hmm.
decide what you really need and prioritize it so they know this is something that I really, really have to have
Hmm.
versus this is something that I really think would benefit my school if we can get it.
Exactly. And I think, like you said earlier, Tammy, the more data that you have to support, the better off you'll be in anything that you're trying to, advocate for. But those
Mhm.
different stakeholders being involved is so important. That data is important, and making sure that you're actually basing things off of what's best for children at the
That's
end of
right.
the day. I don't think you can
Absolutely.
go wrong with that.
Yeah.
So, again, if you are in need of any types of professional development for your teachers or staff members, please reach out if you need help with budgeting. That is something that is our specialty as well, with having both district and school level backgrounds in school finance. So, if that's something that you need, let us know. Also, MTSS, especially at the secondary level, has been really challenging for people to try to figure out. And we have a formula for that: literacy, academic growth, or any of those strategies. So, tune in with us next with Principal Kafele on Sundays. Tune in with Josh and Dean on Unlock the Middle. Then back here on Saturdays at 10 a.m., starting with Principal Sean Hurt. We are following up next at 10:30 with Create and Educate. And remember, at Create and Educate, we create spaces that thrive. We hope
Absolutely.
we hope that you all keep thriving on this Saturday. Thank you
Yes.
guys.
Happy Saturday, y'all.